Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. Guess what? We had a bunch of Super Bowl ads air on Sunday. A lot of people saw them early because guess what? That's the way it works now. You can see all the ads on YouTube. And the big game spot for Disney was their Star Wars ad for the Mandalorian and Grogu. And we kind of had a MIA spot for Toy Story 5, but that's not worth talking about. And here's the problem. The expense that went into creating this ad wasn't worth it. Not to mention the fact that it just looked like they were trying to rip off a Christmas traditional Santa's sleigh kind of a bit with tauntauns. It's a hot mess. If you haven't seen it, you can check it out here because we're going to go through the story. So stick around. Here we go. But before we get started, just a real quick reminder, I'm trying to get to 50K. I need your help. You can be all the difference. Double check you're still subscribed. A lot of people said they were unsubscribed all of a sudden, and that includes about 2,000 people who subscribed in the last month. So double check, make sure that little button down there is not red. If it is, turn that red button to gray and hit the little silver icon, the bell next to it, and turn on all notifications. Also, while you're down there, might as well hit the thumbs up button now because that's immediate engagement and it helps me and any other creator you appreciate. Now, here's the story from my friend Marvin over at That Park Place. There's a similar story he wrote over on Geeks and Gamers, but here it is. This is a very expensive marketing fumble, and I couldn't have thought of a better way to say it myself. The Super Bowl commercial for Mandalorian and Grogu movie left many in the audience baffled. Disney and Lucasfilm had the biggest stage in television. They had over 100 million viewers watching, and they had the first theatrical Star Wars film in years to sell. It's been a long time. And what did they spend roughly $8 to $10 million on? A gag. A gag. When you look at this, it's a joke. Because Star Wars is a joke. I mean, let's be fair. There's nothing good about Star Wars anymore. And while this is something worth watching to, get a few chuckles, it's just not very good. I feel like, the sleigh ride is happening and Santa's got his sleigh and he's bringing presents. So, of course, I added some Bud Light boxes to the mix and I thought that'd be kind of fun. Because really, this isn't fun at all. It's not even good. It's not even enjoyable, and once again, Disney has to return to the past to try to claim some relevancy for Star Wars. Perhaps this is the planet Hoth or any place similar to that, but it's got the same species of animals, so I'm going to say Hoth. The Mandalorian Grogu Super Bowl commercial, a parody spot riffing on classic Budweiser Clydesdale ads. Oh, well, that's another familiar ad that's very similar. Has quickly become one of the most divisive marketing swings Lucas has taken in years, and not because it was bold, because it felt careless. The most expensive joke of the night? For sure. At least that's my opinion. Super Bowl commercials are among the most advertising buys in the world, and 30-second placement now costs around $8 million, with some brands paying upward of $10 million depending upon placement and demand. In other words, what time during the game did this show? Was it leading into the halftime? Was it at one of the crucial moments in the game? Was it the end of the fourth quarter when there was a lot of suspense? Those spots cost a lot more money, and there's a very good reason for that. I mean, that's just the airtime. Not the production costs, because the commercial itself probably costs a pretty penny. And while you get, this kind of a poster from Disney, which is junk that somebody spent 10 minutes in making in Canva or something similar, Lucasfilm chose to use the premium slot on a parody ad instead of a hard-hitting theatrical trailer, and the reaction was immediate. Of course, for me, it was delayed, because I didn't care. I didn't watch the game. I watched the TP USA halftime show, and I skipped everything else. The only way I kept track of the game was just from the pure scoreboard that you can get from anywhere on the internet. So why did they elect to waste this opportunity? This is a great question. This wasn't a mid-season Disney minus promo. This was the return of Star Wars to theaters since the last big screen release it had in 2019. If there was ever a moment to sell scale, stakes, and spectacle, this was it. And at least it wasn't a at falling off of a cliff it never should have been on, which was the first teaser trailer we got from this stupid project. I'm not bitter at all. Not at all. Instead, audiences got slow motion sleigh imagery, tauntaun stand-ins for the horses, and a sentimental tone lifted directly from a heritage beer advertising, which again is why I added the Bud Light, a creative direction widely recognized as a riff on Budweiser's iconic Clydesdale campaigns. It might have worked if Star Wars still had any lingering fan goodwill intact, but it doesn't. And this just reeks of desperation as far as I'm concerned, because there is no more creativity in the building. They have to take people's other better ideas and try to appropriate them for themselves. And that seems kind of the brand for Disney now, because they're so invested in remakes and sequels. There is no originality, there is no creativity, and there isn't anybody left there anywhere in the company to make something new. But the sad thing is what follows. Star Wars is no longer a guaranteed draw. There was a time when Star Wars logo alone would sell tickets. That era is over. And honestly, it's been over for a while. After years of divisive projects, inconsistent storytelling, and brand dilution under Kathleen Kennedy's regime, Lucasfilm enters this theatrical return without the universal fan enthusiasm that it once commanded, or was just given, because we were looking forward to something good. Star Wars was something good. The problem is it hasn't been that in a very long time. And outside of the shrinking sect of diehard loyalists, the people that bought in after the original 3 films were already well into the past, and we had a prequel trilogy that did better than the last 3 films, if you talk to anybody else, this has been ousted from a position that it hasn't occupied for decades. Having to re-earn trust, well, I don't think is possible. I could be wrong, but I've been doing this for a while. And trust isn't rebuilt through parody ads. It's rebuilt through visceral action, mythic stakes, clear narrative direction, and a promise that lessons have been learned. And they haven't learned any. Kathleen's barely out the door now, and you have a ninny cowboy hat, wolf-loving freak show that just wants to push Ahsoka into everything in charge of the studio now. And that's not a good sign. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie is, well, maybe the last chance to get some relevancy back, because I don't think that Starfighter film is going to be any good at all, or whatever it's called. Anyway, Lucasfilm's spending problem hasn't gone away. No, they just spend an enormous amount of money to dump a parody at your door. And the decision also feeds a long-standing criticism of Disney-era Lucasfilm, or Kathleen Kennedy-era Lucasfilm, reckless spending. And, of course, this is an appropriate picture. From ballooning film budgets to streaming oversaturation, the studio has repeatedly been accused of treating money as an afterthought rather than a strategy. Dropping close to $10 million on a commercial that doesn't even showcase the film reinforces that perception. In fact, we didn't see one moment of what we would get to experience in the film. It was a waste of time, money, effort, and what was left of maybe the tiniest fraction of fan goodwill. I could go on because there isn't much else here. The trailer itself was very short, and it would only reinforce the fact that Disney has largely abandoned their responsibility to treat their IP with more care, and they don't. Worse yet, for a very long period of time, they fractionalized the audience. They divided it in ways I didn't even think were possible. And Goodwill is something, well, you go and shop for clothes at, maybe, or, maybe donate clothes to for others. It just isn't part of the Star Wars brand anymore. And it's turned into kind of a fleeting memory, something that we used to enjoy, like Star Trek or Indiana Jones. And isn't it sad what happened to those franchises? Regardless, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments section below if you actually saw the trailer, if you know what I'm referring to. If not, go and watch it. You'll be equally disappointed. But just let me know how you feel about this marketing campaign that wasn't for a film that needs as much juice as it can possibly get when it releases later this year. Again, let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments section below. And as always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya. But probably not at the stupid movie. What a waste.